Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbontv or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. This podcast is proud to be brought to you by the Crazy Elk Company. Go to crazyoutcompany.com to pick up yourself a tag wallet, custom kill kit, or one of their e-tag systems to throw in your pack this coming hunting season. Use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by onX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is onX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, onX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust onX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about onX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt and check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I am your host, Johnny Mack, and today I am joined by a fellow warrior, somebody who is doing things in this world, someone who stands upon a strong foundation and has a belief not only in himself and his family and his God and his country, but also in the power of the outdoors. And I am joined by the host of the 46 of 46 podcast and one of the founders of Absolute Aid CBD. So we're going to be talking about CBD today. So all you listeners, if you've never heard about CBD, been living under a rock maybe, or just like feel like it's super taboo because of its association with THC and marijuana, we're going to be covering that as a topic today. But we're going to be diving into so much because James Appleton is somebody who I've been wanting to get on this podcast for quite some time. He hails out of the state of New York. It's quite a big deal over there. And what he's accomplished over on the East Coast is a big deal. So we're going coast to coast on this episode, and we're meeting in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, James Appleton. How you doing, brother?
Brother Johnny, good to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. Big fan of yours as well, and that's quite the intro you gave me. I appreciate it, and I have the utmost respect for you and what you do as well. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, you earn it. You earn it. You deserve it. Everything that you do is very powerful, and it's impacting lives. And this is one of the things that I think is very like when someone leaves a negative review on a podcast, like, oh man, Johnny's view on things or James's view on things, like, well, then don't listen to the podcast. At the end of the day, man, we're doing it. We're making it happen. And so what I want to commend you on is everything that you have created. God has called us to, we're made in his image, right? And so if we're made in his image and he is a creator, then we are also creators and we are co-creators in this life and in this world with him. And he said that we're more than conquerors through Christ Jesus. And so it's like, let's go, baby. Let's do this. What are we doing today? Wake up. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I make gold records. And
That's it.
Let's do this. What's life like up in the state of New York right now?
Oh man, life in New York is not great. We have a governor here who was only the governor due to our other governor stepping down / would have been impeached, Cuomo, the king of the COVID department, Cuomo. But Kathy Hochul is our governor, and she is kind of the Wicked Witch of the East. She is rough, dude. It went from bad to even worse. So New York State's kind of a rough spot. But hey, I live up in the Adirondack Mountains where we can kind of, live in our little bubble here in the 6 million acres that is the Adirondack Park. So it's good for me in terms of the outdoors and stuff, politically and climate wise in New York. It's it's not a great spot, but This is where I am. So here I
Yeah,
go.
yeah, dude, I hear you. Well, one of the interesting things is because New York City is like almost the center of the world at times,
Sure.
that when people say New York, they instantly think city and they forget about what the state of New York has to offer. And that's we're going to dive into that here in just a little bit. But James, one of the things I want to hear you share is your journey as an outdoorsman. How did you get started? Obviously, you do a podcast and you do outdoor writing about hiking and
Mhm.
backpacking and stuff like that. Where did hunting come in? And where did your love for the outdoors start?
Yeah, sure. So, I grew up in the Adirondack Mountains, and just a quick background for people, it's a 6 million acre state park of public and private land. It's the largest protected wilderness in the continental United States. Um, the Adirondack Park is bigger than Glacier, the Everglades, Yellowstone, and the Smoky Mountain National Park combined. It's bigger than the state of Vermont. So, like you said, people think of New York City, but New York is way more than just New York City. You can drive for 8 hours in this state and never leave the state. So it's a lot bigger than people realize. So I grew up in this just outdoors paradise known as the Adirondack Park. So, like any person who grows up in this sort of place, you take it for granted, and it's just kind of a way of life. Like, you see the mountains all over town and it just doesn't really phase you. And you're just like any punk kid, you're like, I got to get out of here. I got to leave. You got to leave home. Right. So, like anyone, you realize once you leave, that's actually when you start to learn, like, wow, I can't do all of these outdoor things that I didn't even in my brain think of as being outdoors activities when I grew up, because it was just like, it's just what you do. You build dirt jumps in the woods on for your BMX bike, or you go fishing, or you're spending time in the woods, and you don't even think of it as outdoors things. It's just kind of stuff you do. So, of course I left home, as everybody does, got to get out of town, whatever. And then I was playing in a band, so I toured in a band for 6 years. And every time we would get out west, especially like Colorado, but even more so when we would get out into your old neck of the woods in the Pacific Northwest, I'd look around and I'd just be like, man, this is where I need to be. Like, I love it. The mountains, it's so green. It's just like, this is what I like. And then I just remember being on tour one night, sleeping in the van, probably at a Walmart parking lot or somewhere, and looking around and just like seeing the mountains just over the whole area, and just thinking like, this is where I need to move. And then it just hit me one day. It's like, dude, the reason you like this is because this is like, it looks just like where you grew up. This feels natural to you. It feels normal. But then you think about it, it's like, wow, I didn't take advantage of, and I wasn't living in the Adirondacks at the time. I was down on Long Island. So it's like, you didn't take advantage nearly to what you could have of the mountains, of this outdoors paradise that you grew up in when you lived there. That's why you like this. So it was one of those moments where it really was like a light bulb moment. Like, the outdoors was there. You didn't take advantage of it. So that was a thing. So then fast forward a couple years, my wife and I decided to move back to the Adirondacks so we could buy a house. And that's at that point when I came back, it was like, okay, now it's time to truly take advantage of this. The Adirondack Park has over 3,000 bodies of water, it has thousands of mountains. So it's like the outdoors recreation is just everywhere. It's so accessible. The amount of hiking trails up mountains or backpacking trails, fishing, paddling, the whole shebang. So I just basically took advantage of that. And then my transition into hunting came from that. So, you grow up in this type of area, and the outdoors is just part of life. Hunting is just like, it's what people do. I didn't grow up in that world, the hunting world. My wife, her dad, her brother did. So I was exposed to it from them. But I never actually went hunting. I didn't have a hunting license as a kid or anything like that. It came later in life. But my transition into hunting became because I love the outdoors. I love climbing mountains, which is what you do up here. And then I'm also a very just enormous carnivore. So it's like, I need meat. I can go out and get my own meat. And I've just always kind of been like an independent person by nature, whereas I like to be able to provide for myself. And, if there's something I can do without needing someone else's help, I'll kind of try to take that route. So that was kind of that. It's kind of it was a really natural progression into hunting. again, later in life, but like that was the progression. I'm very avid in powerlifting and, training, strength training in general. So obviously a man like myself likes their protein. So that was it. Mixed that I like to run around the mountains, mixed with I like to eat meat. And yeah, the rest is history. Here I am on the Soul Seekers podcast.
Dude, we got so much to talk about. That's a interesting.
Sorry for the long answer, but I'm a podcaster too.
No, I get it. I get it. First off, what do you play? Are you a bassist? I look at you and I think you're a bassist. You're a bass
I
guitar
am.
guy. You are.
Yep, that's it.
Isn't it
I mean,
fu-
I play guitar and bass, but yes, I have forever been the bass player. Yes,
It is
that is
so
you correct.
Dude, you kind of there's certain personalities that go with certain instruments, and it always cracks me up. Like, you look at somebody like, oh, you're definitely like the lead singer, or you're definitely the
Sure.
drummer, or you're the dude that just shreds on the guitar, and
Yep.
that's
I'm the
hilarious.
bassist.
You're the
That's
bass
it.
man, dude. You slap that bass, baby. Let's go.
That's it. That's it.
I love it.
It's correct.
So here you were traveling all over the United States playing music, and you're like, dude, the mountains,
Hmm.
something about the mountains. And this is why I think it's really this idea of Western hunting is so
Hmm.
powerful. I'm like a reverse pioneer in my life. I went from the Pacific Northwest and learning what public land was to only hunting public land because getting access to private land in a place where there's public land just doesn't it's not very normal, right? Like, why would I go ask a farmer to hunt his field when I can just go out into the woods and not go through that process, to moving to Texas where the majority of land surrounding me is private. And now if I want to hunt, I either got to make some really good friends very quickly, or I got to figure out how and where and navigate like this concept. And so you're up there, but talking about this Western hunting style, being being in Texas and the rolling hills of hill country, or like the Midwest and the flat plains and all this stuff, my soul craves the mountains.
Hmm.
There have been times living here in Texas where because the sunrises and the sunsets are incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
I've seen your pictures. They
oh,
look pretty awesome.
dude, every morning, every night, it's just like, holy smokes, babe, go look at this. Have you seen the moon? Have you seen the sun? And yet, when I look at that horizon, it brings tears to my eyes at times because I expect to see mountains.
Sure.
And in the Bible, it always there's a lot of old like Christian hymns talking about, go shout it on a mountaintop, or go up high. You want go get to a place of quiet and stillness. And where do you go? You need to typically climb a mountain to separate yourself, to rise. The cream rises to the top concept. Well, that is like missing in my heart and soul right now. So I know what it's like for you saying, dude, the Adirondacks called to me. And so you started this journey. What drew you more to the outdoors? Was it hiking? Was it hunting? I know you said you're a carnivore and your protein consumption is probably out of this world, but you've also gone through a transformation in your life, because I've seen a lot of your older pictures, and you physically have transformed your life as
Sure.
well. Talk a little bit about how nature's played a role in that, to hunting, to just you making choices about yourself of like, no more am I going to live a life like this, and it's time to change.
Yeah, sure. So when we came back up here, so I should say, here in Lake Placid, New York, which is where I live in the Adirondack Park, there's an organization called the Adirondack 46ers, and that's where my podcast name comes from, 46 of 46 podcast. So basically, there's the 46 high peaks. These are all mountains over 4,000 feet elevation. And I know for all you Western folks, you're like, oh, those are hills. But most of these mountains have over 3,000 feet of gain. So like they're not a quick trip up the mountains. They're all, and our trails are not nice trails like you guys have out west. You guys have really nice trails. These are just trails that were cut up a drainage to just go straight up the mountain. So it's an interesting world. It's very rugged, but becoming an Adirondack 46er is like it's a thing up here, right? So it's a you know a badge of honor in a sense. And it's like, let's go experience these mountains that I see all over the place. So my introduction to the outdoors was hiking. Now, what made hiking more enjoyable when I started doing it was that, yeah, I was actually in good physical shape. So, as I mentioned many times to people, hiking sucks if you are not in good shape. Like, if you are in really bad physical shape, your cardiovascular levels suck. It's a terrible experience, especially when you go climb a big mountain that's just like out of your realm of expertise and possibilities to climb. So, growing up, if I'm not able to do it, it's kind of sucks. So like you kind of have that taste in your mouth because I was just like a fat shit kid. Played sports my whole life too, but it's still, it didn't really make a difference. So what I was saying is like when I came back and I had this, I definitely had a physical transformation that's, it's an ongoing thing. It never changes, never ends. I haven't missed a workout in over 8 years, which is, because consistency is king and that's how you make changes in your life. And there were different elements and different things that happened that was like, okay, it's time to grow up, become a man, and like focus on your life the way that you need to be focused on, for your wife, for your new daughter, and all this stuff. And that's pretty much where that came from. But when it came to the outdoors, because of that transformation and because of like focusing on my physical health, suddenly now the outdoors and these mountains was a lot more obtainable. It was a lot more possible to actually get out and enjoy them without feeling like I'm going to die.
Hmm.
Because I remember this was probably 2012. I was coming down a mountain. I went hiking with my brother and his wife, and they were like, "Hey, let's go hike this mountain." So I was like, "All right, sure." And I bonked, dude, like crazy. I've never experienced that in my life where coming down the mountain, suddenly my body could not move. Like I'm telling my leg, come on, step, step. And it wouldn't move. It literally wouldn't move because I was so dehydrated and I bonked like crazy. It's a weird feeling. And this happens to people all the time out in the backcountry. So it's not, you're dehydrated, you went further than you should have because your body can't handle it, all these things. So you take those experiences and then you take the experiences of, oh, I've actually put the time and effort into getting my body healthy, getting my muscles stronger, you know, shedding some pounds and stuff. And it's like, wow, look how easy it was to get up these mountains. I actually did it and like, I'm completely fine. Wow, I need to go again. And you just keep doing it. It's just like, it's a cycle. And it's like when you focus on fixing your health, your physical health, the outdoors becomes so much more obtainable. So that's where it all started for me in terms of it becoming like a life obsession. Because before that, it was just something you just went out and did, but then it became a life obsession when it's that obtainable because I can actually physically get out there and do. And then, for like I said earlier, from there, the transition into hunting was a very natural one due to climbing, running around these mountains. But yeah, it all for me comes back to getting out in the mountains, and you know, you're so deep you could scream and no one would ever hear you. And if you went 50 feet off trail, you will never be found ever. Like that's how remote this place is. And it's awesome. I freaking love it.
You know, I agree, and I want to second one of the things that you say. So, like, Texas holds a giant population of people,
Mm,
large. It's
sure.
one of the
Huge state.
huge state, one of the largest when it comes to the electoral college. Like, you win Texas, you get a big chunk. You win New York, you get a big chunk. But all these people are very concentrated into these cities, and actually, a lot of these states, when you get outside the cities, are pretty remote, and you would not expect that. You're like, dude, I'm driving through small town after small town where it's like post office, convenience store, gas station, and a small cafe. And all of a sudden, like, now I'm out in the woods again, or I'm out in you know, the countryside. It's very unique to think like this is where people who only live within the concrete jungle lifestyle, the 9 to 5, wake up, go to work. When I get off work, I got my routine, hang out with my family, do this, and this is why I think hunting is so powerful and transformative for people's lives, is because it gives them a purpose to get outside of typical everyday lifestyle. It shakes things up. And whether you're a weekend warrior where you're like, okay, dude, this one weekend in October or this one weekend in September or whenever it is, whether it's like deer camp or it's this full on backcountry expedition and hunt that you're going on, I always talk about on this podcast that opinions are great, but perspective and experiences trump it every single time. And to have experiences in life is where perspective, knowledge, wisdom comes into play, right? You always tell your child, hey, don't touch that hot stove. Don't touch that hot stove. They're like, yeah. Dad said don't touch the hot stove. But why? Right?
Why?
The
Exactly.
why. What is the why behind everything? So first off, for listeners, if you haven't identified your why are you waking up in the morning? Why are you getting up early in the morning? Why are you sleeping in? Why are you not putting in your best work? Why are you not making yourself and sharpening yourself to be the best human you can? You could apply the why to everything, but when we're talking about this opinion versus perspectives and experiences, that kid is probably or maybe potentially going to touch the hot stove because they want to experience it for themselves. And when they experience it, whoa, all of a sudden the eyes widen and it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, that's why. Got it. And that message is going to go further than if they never touched it. Like they'll actually, now they actually learn because they experienced it for themselves. And yeah, nothing trumps that.
Yeah. And so when it comes to getting outside, to getting and living a life outside of your day-to-day normal routine. Routine is extremely important because we don't have a routine. It messes with our psyche. And at the same time, to live that, it's the adventure. We all need a little adventure in our lives. We're meant to
Amen.
There's a book, I forget who wrote it. I think, is it on my shelf? I think someone's borrowing it right now. Wild at Heart. You ever heard of it? You ever
Of
read
course.
it?
Yeah. Sure.
Dude, we're wild at heart, man. Yes, we love community. We love safety. We love being in this routine and comfort. We're creatures of comfort and creatures of habit. But our soul, our heart craves adventure. Like let us know that we're still here, we're still alive, we're still existing more than just ourselves. And that is what hunting and the outdoors has done for me personally. So I see a lot of times you're hunting, you're always archery hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more because of the way New York is set up or the Adirondacks Park is set up, or is that just because you love archery hunting more than anything else?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because this is, it's obviously right now it's archery season, but in the Adirondacks, it's hard with the bow. I mean, it's hard in general. The deer density is one deer for every 2 square miles.
Oh,
So because it's so big, right? And it's like this is mountain terrain, this is mountain country, or I should say one buck for every 2 square
okay.
miles. So
I was going to say that.
yeah, no, not one deer, one buck. But right now it's archery season, so I do prefer the bow, and I'll tell you why. Because I can just go shoot my bow outside in my backyard all year long. I can just go shoot my bow. Whereas, like, you want to go shoot your rifle, you got to go to a range, and then you come home, you got to clean the rifle. It's like it's a whole thing. Whereas with the bow, I can just go shoot outside and go put it down, and 5 minutes later, I'm on to the next thing. So I've actually found that I really enjoy, and I enjoy the physicality that most bow hunting presents itself. I'm not, however, which is like completely like contradictory to most bow hunters. I'm not a stand guy, not a tree stand guy. I just need to move. And here in where I hunt and where I live, it's as I told you with the deer density, it's too needle in a haystack to hope the deer comes, even if you have have lanes where your stand is set up. Like the odds are nothing's coming. So you got to go find the deer. So I do bow hunt here, and it's mostly still hunting, and then tracking once we get some snow. But once rifle season starts, yeah, I'm out there. I'm out there with the rifle. But right now it's bow season, so
So,
I'm out there
and
with the
you're
bow.
and
But
you're
I do
hunting
prefer
whitetail.
the bow. Whitetail, yes, I
Uh,
should have said that. Yeah,
well,
but yeah,
no,
whitetail.
no. So this is one of the things I'm trying to wrap my head around. Coming from the state of Washington, I've only ever
Hmm.
shot two bucks, and they
Hmm.
both are whitetails. However,
Hmm.
Washington holds blacktail, mule deer, and whitetail, and so I have yet to shoot a blacktail buck. I've shot a blacktail doe, but I have yet to even cross the realm of mule deer, and I really want to.
Hmm.
When I am, down here in Texas, it's like whitetail country, right? Like
Sure,
this is what you're
totally.
doing, and people, this goes back to the opinions versus perspectives and experiences. Like, man, sitting in a tree stand or blind over a feeder is like that's not hunting. It's like, man, when you're trying when and I do say try on this, not just do or do not, but when you're trying to go through brush down here that has thorns all over it, mesquite trees. I've popped so many tires in my backyards before I realized I had mesquite bushes in my as I'm trying to mow my lawn, and all of a sudden pop, all my tires are going flat. Dude, there's everything wants to get you down here. You know,
Yeah.
th-
Oh, I know. I know. You got to like check your shoes before you put your shoes on in the morning, and
dude, we've had,
everything is going to kill you. It's
yeah,
like Florida, same thing.
rattlesnakes in the neighborhood. I've already caught 3 scorpions in my house. Got the mesquite trees. I mean, you really, no wonder Texas people are gritty, dude. Like,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
there's the cowboy lifestyle, man, is a real thing. You got to be tough. And when it comes to hunting, specifically whitetails are known for being super skittish.
Totally.
And so if you are trying to still hunt whitetails,
Hmm.
regardless of what weapon you're using,
Hmm.
a lot of the times, like mule deer, you jump a mule deer, they'll run about 20 to 30 yards, they'll stop, and they'll look right back at you. And then that's how a lot of mule deer die. Bam!
Hmm.
Oh, thanks for the shot opportunity. A lot of times you'll jump deer and you'll never see them. They're
Oh yeah, they're gone.
Even
They're
if the wind is in your
miles.
favor, they're just like,
Sure.
I'm out of here. So the fact that you're saying you still hunt whitetails with a bow, that is impressive. That is a skill.
Well, I mean, it's real. I mean, I probably would be. There's a friend of mine who is a absolute Adirondack hunting stud. His name's Todd Mead. He's also a pro archer. He shoots for PSE. He he'll tell me, because he's a stand guy. He's like, yeah, you'll definitely see more deer, still hunting and moving around, because that's kind of like the technique in the Adirondacks is still hunting and tracking, because again, the land, it's just so big. You have to go find them. But he's a stand guy. He'll sit. He's like, I have no problem sitting for 6 hours. It's completely fine. You'll shoot more deer when you sit, but you'll see more deer when you move around. And for me, it's just like, everyone's got their own style, and you adapt to where you're in Texas now. So like, the techniques are going to be different than they are in Washington. So, you adapt to the environment and hunt the way that it needs to be done, or whatever. But yeah, it has its pros and cons like anything else. You do definitely see more deer, and you just get to see more land. And that's what I'm about. Cause like, I want the experience to also be, well, obviously I want to fill my freezer, but I also want to, explore the land.
Mm.
That's a huge part of it for me as well. They don't call it, they call it hunting, not shooting, because you're not always going to get a deer. So it's like, for me, it's like, I want to also enjoy, and I spend so much time in the woods. So it's like, I understand a lot of people who don't spend a lot of time in the woods might really enjoy that sitting in a stand for a few hours or 5 hours. And for me, it's like, I'd rather be moving around and, you know, exploring all this land. So I guess it's just, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, that's how I do it. But again, once rifle season starts, you got to give yourself the best opportunity for success. And the rifle definitely, it gives you the advantage. But, during bow season, I'm out there. That's what you got to do.
I love it. You know, it. I don't know. Maybe your parents ever said this to you, but my parents definitely did. It's like there's a time and a place for everything, right? Time and a place for everything.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, as a child, you don't really understand this concept of time and a place. However, as a hunter, I really do, because I started out hunting by backpack hunting. I
Okay.
was So you probably don't know this about me. My history is I used to work at REI. I
Oh,
started backpacking when I was in second grade. So what is that? 7 years old. I hiked a section of the Pacific Crest Trail at 7 years old,
very
and
cool.
and from Highway 20 in the state of Washington down to Lake Chelan. That was my very first hiking experience, and that was multi-day. I carried a little knapsack, um,
Hmm.
you know, and saw bears, saw deer, like got freaked out. That was probably where my fear of bears in the woods came from, and why killing my very first animal being a black bear, like I have to overcome my fear every time I step in the woods because of my experience on that hike, which that's a podcast in itself. The point of what I'm saying is I used to work at REI. I loved hiking. Like that was what I did. I coached high school football. And the first 2 weeks of August, when being a school teacher, I would go backpacking, hike the Wonderland Trail around Mount Rainier, PCT, different hikes all in the Northwest. But I always wanted more because hiking, especially when I did the PCT around Wonderland Trail, Mount Rainier National Park, you know, you see all these animals, you experience all this stuff. You can't have campfires, and you're literally just walking from one destination to the next. You
Hmm.
know, I want to fish. I want to interact with the wildlife. I want to do more than just walk to the next spot to set up my tent, get in it, wake up, walk to the next.
Yep.
And so my soul was craving more. So when I realized that black bear hunting opened August 15th in the state of Washington at the time, and August 1st, depending on what part of the state, I was like, dude, I can do the exact same thing, carry a weapon, and go kill an animal. Done. And that was
Hmm.
that was the creation of everything that happened. Is became a black bear hunter before anything else. Um,
Which you don't see a lot. You don't see that as being people's introduction to the entire world of hunting by hunting black bear in particular.
Yeah, dude, true. And I will tell you this: I think I hold a world record. I might have. I don't know how I can register this, but I'm pretty sure because I used to work at REI, so I got that little granola side of that to me. I killed my black bear in the mountains. I was wearing Birkenstocks at the time.
Wow.
Yep, I
That
like
is
to.
definitely a first.
Yeah, so the hunting world, everyone loves those Crocs. They live that Croc life. I'm like, no way, man.
Dude,
Birkenstocks.
I live the croc life hard, but I am pretty sure that your podcast is now canceled from your Birkenstocks comment there. So it's unfortunate. It's been a good run that you guys have had here at Soul Seekers, but
Yeah,
good luck in your next endeavors.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. um, so so you're talking still hunting
Hmm.
deer in the Adirondacks. Have you ever Western hunted? Have you ever hunted
I've never
outside of the state of New York?
I've never had the pleasure actually. No.
Is that something that's on the bucket list, or like I
Oh, to go
always
out west, yeah, totally. I again, like it's weird. It's there's just so much land here, and obviously anyone will. It's great to go hunt anywhere. I want to see more places. I mean, I've seen this whole country top to bottom dozens of times, but I want to, I want to experience. Like I was saying before, with you become adaptable and you adapt to how people hunt in different regions, and you go experience it here. You go experience it there, and yeah, I'll eventually get out. I just haven't in I just have never gone elsewhere because I just haven't. But I've hunted all over the state, and there's different even in here in the state. There's different regions that do different things. You hunt totally different ways downstate as you do up here. It's different. But yeah, of course, I would love to get out west and get to experience running around those mountains. The mountains here, like they're all covered in trees, so you don't get that open country where like you live and die with your map and compass here. Whereas out west, it's like, oh, I can see where I'm going. I'm just gonna walk over there. It's like, oh man, that sounds so awesome. Whereas me, I'm like glued to that compass and the bearing that we took. So yeah, I'll eventually get out west, but I've not had the pleasure yet. I've had offers from different people in different like northeastern states, but I just haven't I haven't ventured over there.
it's so interesting. I just hunted out of state for the very first time this year.
Hmm.
And it was because I wanted to hunt spring bear, and in the state of Washington, spring bear hunt got canceled because of
Yeah.
this. Is dives into politics, and this is what I really I want to open people's minds to this concept. And really, listeners, take this in. In society, we have been indoctrinated
Programmed.
programmed to believe that you never talk money, religion, or politics. You don't talk those three things because you might upset somebody. Ooh,
Boo hoo.
right. And yet, because we never talk money, we have people that are in the worst debt. They have horrible credit scores. I mean, the list goes on. People don't know how to manage their finances, and they're struggling because of it. We don't talk religion and understand the commonalities between world religions and the differences, because there's a lot of common bonds.
Sure.
Like if you just take the concept of Christianity, Jesus is mentioned all over the world, and it has references in different times in history and regions and religions, and then politics. And yet, if those are the three things that make up our foundation of the why of how we live, don't I would say that that's pretty important to make sure we can communicate. And as
Yeah, it seems worth discussing. Yeah.
right, and as hunters, here we are constantly having our things that we love to do in our lifestyle and our way of being attacked or removed or threatened. And going back to the bear hunting in the state of Washington, it's become a political thing. We have let's see, what's the term? When you are not a non-elected official making decisions over what you can and cannot do. You weren't voted into place, and yet we have
like the governor of New York at this very moment.
Exactly.
The governor of my state in this very moment, not elected.
Yes, and a lot of the members of the Department of Fish and Wildlife Board that oversees the rules and regulations of our hunting seasons aren't elected. They're
it's
nominated,
crazy.
and so you have anti-hunting people sitting on a board,
and they don't know.
Yes,
they don't know. It's like these. Sorry to interrupt you, but like these people don't know what they're talking about. How are they the ones making rules? Like they're not. Oh my god! I don't even want to get myself fired up right now. But they don't know. So how are these the people that are making the rules? It's so mind-boggling, truly.
I totally agree. And what it comes down to is people not feeling confident enough about knowing how to talk about the things they love, right?
Sure,
Like,
absolutely.
if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Yeah, and not but, because and signifies that we put emphasis on what we just previously said, but negates it and says, well, that doesn't matter. And if you love something, stand for it, speak for it, right? We in society, and that's why I say indoctrinated, have been taught to not ruffle feathers. Dude, we're wild at heart.
We are.
Ruffle the feathers. Ruffle your own feathers. Like, change it up, mix it up. Go climb a tree, scrape your knee, jump fences. Like, go live, and don't be afraid to live.
That's it. And I would dare say that if anything in the last 2 years of our nation just losing its mind, in the world for that matter, it's like you got to speak up no matter what you believe, it's time to speak up. And now now or never. Now or never, really, honestly. So I can't agree with you more, because when we don't, then what are we going to do? We're going to complain about what someone else changed when we didn't do jack shit to try to make it what we're hoping it would be. We're hoping someone else will step up and be the doer that we weren't. No, we should all be doers ourselves and be the ones jumping into, be on the front lines, no matter what it is. You could completely disagree with me. That's fine. I love that you have the opportunity to disagree with me. Let's chat. But if you don't do anything, well, then you don't really have a right to say anything if you're not even making an attempt to be a part of the conversation, basically.
Totally. There's a difference between discussing, arguing, fighting, and personal attacks. See,
Of
you can
course,
talk about a subject, a topic, whatever, but the minute you personally attack the other person, it makes everything that you're saying irrelevant, right?
it does.
It's
It changes the game at that point.
you got to keep your head, keep that calm under pressure, right? You got to have ice in your veins. You got to using every single sports analogy out there
Every
that
cliche, yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
that we've been taught as little children playing little league sports is keep your calm, right? Don't be the person that squeezes the trigger because they can't control themselves. My father, he always said, think things through. Think things through. Keep things in
Wise
perspective.
words.
Keep things in perspective. And it's like, okay, well, what is the perspective? What's the point? The why? Why are we even doing this? And, throwing out a religious thing, the Bible, it says, don't cast your pearls to swine, right? So God bless Kenny Rogers, God rest your soul. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him, know when to walk away and know when to run. And with that being said, a lot of people I've seen get angry when this quote gets brought up because they're like, well, that doesn't apply to this. That was about a completely different scenario. I want you to think about everything that you love in your life and how you don't speak about it and apply this quote to it. It says, first they came for the Jews, but I did nothing because I'm not a Jew. Then they came for the socialists, but I did nothing because I'm not a socialist. Then they came for the Catholics, but I did nothing because I'm not a Catholic. Finally, they came for me, but by then there was no one left to help. And that actually, I pulled that one up. That's not the original quote. I wish I would have read the original, which I apologize. But that's from Pastor Martin Niemöller out of World War II, where, it doesn't really affect me. I'm not going to say anything.
Exactly.
Oh,
And that's the problem.
yeah. Well, dude, how much do you love hunting? How much do you love the lifestyle that hunting has provided for you? How much do you love the transformative nature and the impact it's had on your life? If you don't understand the foundation of that, the why, then of course you're not going to be able to publicly speak up and defend it. You need to understand the foundation of who you are, the why, what makes you tick. And so this is the type of stuff that gets me fired up as a hunter and as a human being, and why I podcast, because I know the transformative power that hunting has. It has transformed my life. I've overcome fears. I've grown as a human being. I've become a better husband, a better father, a better mentor, a better leader, a better worker, the list goes on. All because I found hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It sharpened my saw. I worked on my courage. Now it's the time to take that even further by understanding why, put words to it. And I jump in wherever you see fit, but I get that gets me going, man. I get
No, I love to see people talk about things that get them fired up and get them excited. I'm a big hobby guy, and like one of my first questions I ask anyone new is like, so what do you do for fun? Like if we weren't here hanging out at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, what would you be doing right now? And I love hearing people talk about their hobbies, because that's what gets people. That's where you see what gets people excited. So I love to see you getting excited about hunting. Obviously, that's what we're here to talk about. But just I love when people talk about things that get them fired up and get them passionate, because that is where you see really the heart and soul of a person. And going with finding your why, if you don't know why, and that's when things start to get taken away little by little, and once they're gone, they're not coming back. So it's like there really is a stop it before it starts kind of mentality in anything in life, not even just with hunting, but it's like that old saying, once you give something to the state, you're never getting it back. And it's the same thing with hunting. Once this goes, it's gone. It's not coming back. And then it's what's the next thing? And it chips away slowly, just like that analogy, just like that quote from the guy during World War II.
yeah.
That's just as authentic and just like straight freaking factual as it can get. So if you're not standing up for other people, yes, you will eventually be next, or what you care about will be next. So it is important to be vocal and to be involved. Don't just expect everyone else to fight your battles for you, because that's, kind of a little bitch, quite frankly. Sorry to use the language, but that really is what the sign of that. So be willing to be the person on the front lines, and I guarantee, no matter what it is, you're gonna find like-minded people right there with you, and you'll be better off for it. And because you're in the battle, you're in the fight. You're not waiting for someone else to do it for you. You're right there, and you will grow as a human. And you know what? You'll actually be making an impact. And ultimately, isn't that what we should be doing? We should be trying to make an impact no matter what the subject is, whether it's here in the hunting world, because we all know hunting at all times is just the one wrong thing away from being just completely upended. You know, I got my trapping license a couple years ago just for fun. And I can't tell you how many times in that class the instructor said, trapping is one upset woman away from being gone completely in New York State. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, we're always just like at the mercy of people who don't know, making the rules, like we were talking about before. But at all times, you're it's very close to being wiped out. So that's why it's important to be one of the people on the front lines fighting, so that you have these things that we love. And right now the subject is hunting, but really it could be applied to literally anything you care about in life.
And that's the point, right? Like,
Yes.
if you don't like hunting, fine. If it's not as transformative for you, fine. But live a life inspired, right?
Yes.
Live an inspired life, because inspired people inspire people.
Correct.
When you are an inspired individual, you're naturally going to live a life that inspires others to be their best as well. And I think
Hmm.
that's the ultimate idea, right? It's like, this is why I say you can never outgive good, because when you put good into the world, when you do your best at all times, it is the light on the hill that is like shining for people to be like, wow, I also want to be like that. Not that they want to be specifically like you, not that we are meant to be worshiped or that we are perfect, but like, oh, that's also attainable.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Like, I hope somebody starts podcasting because they heard this podcast. That,
Absolutely.
or whatever. So I totally agree with you. And what do you feel like? Do you feel like you can speak for hunting very well?
I can speak for hunters in general. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're cut from the same cloth. We tend to think very similar, and there tend to be very logical people. So I do feel that I can speak for the hunting community pretty well. Yeah.
Being a school teacher for the longest time in a liberal state of Washington, and in a liberal field, public education is very, very liberal thinking.
Oh yeah.
That I knew two people that I worked with at my school of over 120 employees. One was a hunter, and one, his dad was a government trapper, but he didn't hunt. He
Hmm.
did it as a kid, but that wasn't his thing. Everyone else was like, "Oh, hunting? Ooh, I don't know." And then they bring up really like obscure things like hunting elephants. Like, "Oh, but hunting elephants, like all this stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, first off, you're going to the ultimate extreme,
Hmm.
because number one, yeah, people do hunt elephants. Yes, elephants are protected, and so you're going through only certain channels. Elephants aren't protected everywhere, and there is protocol of game management and wildlife management. So they just it's monkey see, monkey do. Where the news said this, I'm gonna spit it out and treat what the news is as truth. And as we're starting to see, what the news pumps out is not always factual and like on point. So at the end
Let's
of the
just call it what it is. The media is the enemy of the people. That's what they are. But anyways, continue.
right. So and so a lot of people they live, and this goes back to what we were talking earlier in this podcast, is we live off of opinions rather than experiences and perspectives. So quick to point a finger and judge people rather than, well, have you actually tried it? Have you seen it? Have you experienced it? And the bleeding hearts of the concept of like, oh, I don't like to see animals suffer. There's too much suffering in this world, regardless of what it is. Like, okay, well then, what are you doing to help society? And I'm not making a judgment statement. I'm making a question. Like, if you truly want suffering to end, then how are you making this world a better place to end suffering? You apply it to hunting, and there's that small little focus window of you don't like to see an animal suffer. It's like, all right, go check out the Instagram account Nature's Metal.
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, man, so many talking points. But I think this is where us
Well,
as hunters, we need to truly understand what we believe in and the why.
and yes, and if you don't, again, you will just be sitting in the back, hoping someone else fixes things and figures out things for you. And then at that point, you're just a sheep going along with the rest of the flock, and you're not doing anything proactively. You're not doing to better the world around you, whether it's for hunting or anything else. You're just kind of sitting off passively in the back. And we all know the passive people don't win championships, right? The people who are out there doing win the championship. So it's like it's the same thing. You got to be out there moving and doing and knowing why you're doing it and knowing why were these rules put in place? What are the populations of why are these numbers being used? When you start to do the little bit of research, it just when you know why things happen, suddenly it makes so much more sense, or it makes even less sense, and therefore more reason to push back. But when you just are kind of blind to and just accepting as truth whatever you're told, well, you're in for a tough life. Or if that's you, just don't whine about it, just accept it, because that's kind of the life you've chosen at that point.
Yep, totally, totally. Okay, I want to shift gears here and talk about your company, Absolute Aid CBD,
Sure.
because when we're talking about the why, and you're like, well, this is a hunting podcast. Why are you talking about CBD? I'll tell you why here in just a second. Um, there is this, man, where do I even start? I sleep horrible in the backcountry. I do not sleep
Hmm.
good when it comes to hunting. And when it came to me and my ultra marathon days, I was consuming so much ibuprofen that like I didn't think about it. This is why like I didn't understand. Like, oh, ibuprofen's over the counter. It's got to be okay for me. But at the end of the day, it's destroying my liver and it's really not that healthy for me. So, what out there in nature is something that I could be using that is going to be a healthier alternative than the pharmaceutical concept. And
Hmm.
so I got introduced to CBD through my awakening a couple of years ago, probably about when time CBD really hit the market of like popularity and understanding that it's
Hmm.
it's legal, even though it's derived from cannabis and that THC, the the chemical that makes you quote unquote high from
Yep.
marijuana, is separate from CBD. And so I started diving into research of all that and topicals and ingestibles and all this stuff. And I was like, dude, I started sleeping really good. And my body started recovering a whole lot more. And to the point where I take it on hunts with me.
Hmm.
Because
Sure.
whether I'm rubbing it on my quads or my calves or my hamstrings or my traps from like a backpack sitting on my back shoulders so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
like there's so many ways that CBD can help. Go ahead and just share like how did your journey open your eyes to CBD? How did you get into it? And then talk a little bit about Absolute Aid.
Yeah, sure. So real quick, the reason that that CBD is working for you and helping you is because CBD acts as a sidekick for your body to do what your body was already designed by God to do, which is to fix itself. So the reason that yes, so CBD comes from cannabis. Now remember, this comes from hemp, though, not marijuana, hemp. So CBD, there's no, you're not going to get high from it. There's not THC in CBD. So if that's something that scares you, you don't have to be scared by it. It comes from hemp. And what it does is basically your body has a series of receptors, the cannabinoids, endocannabinoid system, and the cannabinoids found in cannabis are the only things that are the same cannabinoids that are found in your body. Nothing else has this. So it's not surprising that the cannabis industry and cannabis in general has been demonized by the government for so long because, well, this is a really cheap way to help people. It has so many medicinal qualities, but like you could grow it in your backyard. It costs nothing. Wow, we have to demonize this because then the pharmaceutical companies don't get paid. They need to get paid. So there's a lot of steps as to why this is a really helpful, and CBD in particular. Again, there's no high behind it. So what you're going to get is a just purely medicinal substance that is helping aid your body do what your body's already designed to do as a sidekick. And sometimes you're out there and you need a boost, you need that extra help. Well, this is like the most natural help that you can get because your body's already doing the things that CBD is here to help you with. So now how I got into CBD, that's just a quick lesson on what CBD is and how it works in case you're not aware. And the reason you sleep well in the backcountry or it helped you is because you're just helping your body naturally do what it already does. You're just giving it a little boost to do the natural things it does. So of course, you take some sleep CBD and it's going to work with the receptors that help your body go to sleep, and then boom, now you're sleeping better in a more natural, non-pharmaceutical way. So that's exactly what we could hope for, whether it's inflammation or anxiety, focus, all these different things. But I got into Absolute Aid because you know, point blank, 2 years ago, my wife and I were both fired over these COVID vaccines. And, I could either sit back and die or I could swing back when I was pushed into a corner. And, at that point, I've always been a natural remedy type of person by nature. I'll medical world, and my wife is an emergency room nurse, so she comes from that world. I think the whole medical world is completely ass backwards because it's not really about health. It's about pushing pills because people don't want to necessarily make lifestyle changes to aid their own health. So at that point, it was like, okay, I'm being fired because of these vaccines that I just don't think is right for me. If it's right for you, awesome, have at it. I'm glad it worked for you. It's just not the right choice for me. But we're fired from our jobs, so it was time to swing back and to move forward. And to me, it was like, what's something that I truly believe in from the bottom of my heart, and it's that lifestyle changes and natural health remedies are the way to actually live a successfully healthy life. So that's how in starting a CBD company and having products and pushing forward and building the brand and building the company and moving forward with that is ultimately how it came about. For all you people who are upset about why I started it, that's the God's honest truth. So that's what we did, and it's been going great, and we're moving forward. And Absolute Aid is the name of the CBD company that I started, and my partners are the exact same way. We believe in the most natural possible ways to get your body to fix itself. And this is it. And yeah, that's quick story in a nutshell. What started from complete devastation at no cost, no reason of my own, in my mind, has turned into a beautiful thing, and I'm a very blessed man because of it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Excuse me. Um, CBD. It comes in multiple forms, and for people who are not familiar with it, there's like a
Hmm.
topical you could rub on your skin. There's the type you can consume.
Yep.
Different companies come out with like gummies, liquid form, what is called tincture, which is a word that I had no concept like what a
Hmm.
tincture was. to um, what else? They're ingestible,
I mean,
topical. There's like,
it's all the same in terms of, it's all the same. It's just different modalities, right? So it's like you can in edibles. There's edibles, whether it's gummies, there's capsules, there's tinctures, like you said. There are topical creams, there's salves. There's just different ways of mixed with different, everyday ingredients. Like a lotion, for example, is a lotion with CBD infused in it. So it's a topical cream. So like, let's say your elbows are really, really rough, or let's say your shoulder after a day of shooting at the archery range is rough. You're putting it directly onto the spot that hurts. So you're kind of helping your body heal itself from the outside in, whereas an edible is more from the inside out, because you're ingesting it. And there's different studies and different, people have different results from different items which work best for them. Arthritis, obviously, it's like, wouldn't it be great to be able to put it right on your knuckles? And that's exactly what, like, let's say a topical does. And a lot of people are more apt if they're new, or like they have, of course, as I mentioned, there's been a taboo about anything related to hemp or cannabis due to, our government, who has, made it taboo, even though it can help so many people, and it does, and it has for just centuries. But but if you're new to it, and like the idea of an edible, because even the word edible has been, it's there's taboo to it. But suddenly, like a topical cream, maybe that's a better introduction for you to kind of start to see the healing powers that CBD has to help your body help itself. That is what it's about. That is what I am about as a man. I want to help people who can help themselves. I think you are able to do unbelievable things on your own when you just have a few tricks, a few tools in the toolbox to make your life the greatest thing it could possibly be. And CBD works the exact same way. It helps your body help itself so that you can get out there and kick some ass in life every day. But each item, each different, you don't have to be overwhelmed by the amount of products. At Absolute Aid, we have a topical cream and some gummies at this point. That's our current product line. But if you go to other CBD companies and you see all these different items, it can be overwhelming. But ultimately, let's break it down and make it simple. It's just different ways of taking more or less the same product. Some might have more CBD in them, more per serving, let's say. But ultimately, it's just kind of dealer's choice and how you take it. Because I've heard from many people, they go to these sites and they're new to CBD, and it can be very overwhelming because there's just so many options. But let me break it down. It's all the same. It's just different ways, and it's up to you to choose what you want to do.
love it. I love that. Um, Man, it is very interesting. I love what you say is like you have the power.
Mm-hmm.
It's extreme ownership. You can do whatever you want to do. You can accomplish anything you want to do. A lot of people don't feel comfortable working on their own cars because they don't have the correct tools
Mm-hmm.
to finish the job. And it is tools in the tool belt, right? Not everything can be done with a flathead screwdriver. Not everything can be done with a hammer. You need to have
Correct.
specific tools to help and support you on your journey. And that goes the same with hunting. It goes the same with health, everything in life. So I'm on your guys' website, and you have what is it? Three different. Four. You have something that called sleep, relief, focus, and pain. What's the difference between those? Like how does someone identify what it is that they want to choose?
Sure. And we also have a calm. A calm, we're currently out of stock. We've sold out of those, but they will be back in stock in the next week or two. So we have four different kinds of gummies and a pain cream. Pain cream is a topical lotion. It's designed, by design, by formula for aiding in pain. Pain, whether it's like sore joints, sore muscles, topical cream, rub it on the area that is sore. So now the other one's relief, focus, sleep, and calm. So calm is a formula designed to help relieve anxiety. It's a mental focus. Focus is the same thing. It's helped to produce mental clarity. Sleep triggers sleep receptors, which helps obviously you sleep. And then relief is an inflammation, for like exercise induced inflammation. That's kind of what it's for. And CBD, another thing about CBD is you should think of it as CBD gets lumped in with the THC world, which is in my opinion wrong. It should be thought of more as in the multivitamin world, because what you're doing is you're helping set your body up for success. So let's take a multivitamin for example. You take it one day, it's not doing anything for you. Well, yeah, of course, because you just took it for a day. But what you need to do with multivitamins, you need to take every day. Take them at the same time. Take them for 30 days, 60 days, and you'll notice your body is just functioning better. It's functioning at a higher level, which is exactly what multivitamins do. It's the same thing with, like, let's say diet and exercise. You eat a really clean meal and you go work out once. Did you lose any weight? No. Are you further ahead than you were before that workout and that meal? You are, but you don't look any different in the mirror. Now do it compounded over 30 days. Wow, suddenly there's some changes happening here. And CBD works the exact same way. And you really start to notice it when you stop taking it as well. You know, that's that's how I've experienced it, and that's how, many people in this world have experienced it. And that is why I feel like it's unfortunately kind of put into this THC world, when in reality it should.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. We just had a dropout and battery die, but we're back in action. Chris, it's not Chris.
We,
Sorry,
we are
James.
back here. So sorry about that, people. As a podcaster, I should have also known about battery issues on my own end, but I've actually never had to deal with that. So that is my fault. And Johnny, sorry, I went really hard in the paint with your CBD question there at the end before it got cut off. But it's just because I'm very passionate about natural healthcare routes, because I feel that we have been lied to for just generations. We have been programmed to believe certain things, and we have been lied to, especially when it comes to health. So any sort of item that can give you a boost to your health, that is a natural product from the earth, that is not built in a laboratory, in a pharmaceutical lab. I'm just all about it. I'm all about it because I'm all about, as I mentioned before, people helping themselves. Like, if you can help yourself, that is what it's about, and that is what creates an unstoppable person. So that's why I get really fired up over the whole subject of just, caring for yourself in ways that are not also harming yourself,
Yeah.
as the pharmaceutical companies profit off of billions of dollars every year. But again, this is a hunting podcast. I don't want to get too crazy on that, but that's why I went hard in the paint. So for all you listeners listening, I appreciate it. I hope you're still with us. And here we go.
Love it. Okay, so question: the milligrams, when it comes to CBD, a lot of people get super confused about the milligrams. Like, how much should they be consuming?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like your ingestibles are 70 milligrams, but your topicals are 250. Correct me if I'm wrong. Explain that.
Yeah, I'll explain. So actually and we have brand new packaging coming out soon. So like just updated labels and, updated counts. But actually what that means is that's the amount of CBD per package. So it's actually 10 milligrams per CBD bite. So that's a 7-count pack. So, different companies label it different ways, but that's how we labeled ours. But they're 10 milligrams per gummy. And in the CBD cream, it's a 2-ounce bottle with 500 milligrams of CBD. So different counts for different products, but pretty much it's like anything. Everyone reacts differently. Everyone needs different amounts of CBD. Some people thrive just with 10 milligrams in a day. Some people need higher end counts. So it really depends, and it changes. But that's what that means. So it's you got to experiment with yourself to kind of find your sweet spot. And that's where you want to live, to keep your body moving every single day.
So direct questions.
Do it. Hit me.
Someone, if they're going with your product, start with 10 milligrams a day.
Yep.
And then if you say they are not feeling the results, what do they bump up to? And what does not feeling the results mean?
Yeah, sure. So here's the thing. This is similar to, vitamins and mineral or vitamin and supplement industry. It's kind of the same it's all the same world, even though it's technically considered the cannabis industry, but it's the same thing as the vitamin and supplement industry. It's like,
people have to be aware of themselves and aware for themselves as to how their body feels, how their mind feels, what works, what doesn't. Whether you take, let's say, you're about to go work out and you take a pre-workout. Maybe you notice something that's boosting your performance and helping you get more, I guess amped up would be the word. And you'll notice that. Some people don't. For me, I don't notice any difference with pre-workouts other than sometimes my skin is a little tingly, but it doesn't do that. That is not something that adjusts or helps boost a workout in any stretch. So different people react different ways to different products. So it's in terms of, let's take sleep, for example. You mentioned sleep. Are you feeling more rested in the morning? Do you feel like you're sleeping through the night more? Do you feel like you're waking ready and more refreshed? These are types of things that you have to be, again, self-aware. You have to be aware of what your body's going to feel like. Now, people say like, oh, CBD, it didn't work. But actually, as I mentioned, CBD works differently from THC. The only thing you notice about THC products is you are high now. You have a high. So you can physically feel that. Whereas CBD is going to be different because you're not feeling that. But whether you're taking sleep or you're taking a focus type of product that is a THC product, you're going to feel the same high. You're not going to get that with CBD. So you're just getting the medicinal benefits from it. So I would say, and which is what I tell anybody, start with 10 milligrams, take that for a couple weeks. If you need to go up, then take 20 milligrams and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much how I've done it, how I recommend anybody to take it. And that's pretty much how it tends to shape up.
Interesting. Man, I find we don't know what we don't know. It goes back to opinions versus perspectives versus experiences. In order to gain knowledge, you gotta go through the processes of like, hey, these shoes don't fit my feet. They don't feel good. Or these feel too large. What feels right? The porridge. What's the story of us as kids where we heard, this porridge was too hot. This porridge was too cold. This was just right. Three Little Bears? Is that
Three Little Bears. Three Little Bears. Yes. I was going to say Little Red Riding Hood. I was like, no, she gets eaten by her like grandma wolf. The Three Little Bears. Yes.
Yeah. And
what even is porridge? I don't even know what porridge is, but I know exactly the story you're talking about.
I feel like porridge is a combination between grits and oatmeal.
I can't ever say I've had the pleasure, but I'll take your word for it.
I love it. What's on the horizon for you, James?
What's on the horizon for me? Everything. Right now, what I'm currently working on, and this ties into Absolute 8, is we're working on a program that I designed for myself over a year ago. I come from the powerlifting world. I'm very big into the sport of powerlifting, and with training, you're always, either running a training program or you're writing your own training program. So in the same way, like I kind of function really well when I write out a program for myself when I want to get from point A to point B. And a while back, I basically created this program that is now called the Seek to Do More program. And it's just a 30-day program. I've been doing it for over a year, every single day. And it's just completely changed my life and how I function and how I operate. But it's basically a program that's designed to build constructive and productive habits that you do every single day in a way to maximize your time management, and do it in productive ways. So that's actually something that I'm currently working on. And at Absolute 8, we're about to release, we'll be releasing it soon as just a free program, because again, our company exists to help people help themselves. And this is a way that I believe from the bottom of my heart helps people help themselves, by when you prioritize certain things every day, from reading to physical activity to taking time for your spiritual life to seeking to learn every single day and putting aside time each day, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 2 hours, to dedicate it to learning something new, learning more. When you take these different and there's more to the program than this, but when you take these sorts of productive habits and you put them together and into a day, well, suddenly your day becomes very productive. And then from there, you just start the snowball of just accomplishing goal after goal. And it's just a completely game changer for people. And there's so many people out there who are just, they might be depressed, or they don't know where to go, or they need some structure. I always say that chaos breeds chaos, but structure breeds success. And because that is really what it does. So when you start to structure your daily life in ways that prioritize productive habits, you just watch out. Because I believe fully that inside everyone just has this sleeping giant waiting to be awakened, because they are just so able to accomplish so much, and become just absolutely unstoppable in life when you no longer need to seek out outside inspiration and outside motivation for anything in life, because you are all you need for motivation, and you are the only inspiration you need, because you just decide, I'm going to do X. I'm going to accomplish X. I don't need to be motivated. I don't need to be inspired by someone else. Damn, that discipline that you've built, like, that creates an unstoppable person. And that's what I built with this program. That, again, I wrote it for myself, just because I wanted to maximize my life. I wanted to maximize my time. And I just took different things that I see from people in my inner circle, that, like, oh, this person does this like almost every day, or this person does this almost every day. Oh, wow, this person's a big reader. You would never have expected that this idiot over here is a giant reader and reading huge books. It's like, there's so many things. I was like, I admired all these things about different people. And I basically, like, kind of Frankensteined my own personal program that was just designed for me to just, quietly, I'm a work in silence type of dude. And I put that together. But that's the big thing on our horizon right now. My horizon personally, and my horizon with Absolute Aid, is we're going to be launching that program, the Seek to Do More program. It'll be on seektodomore.com. And, I just believe that everybody is capable of being their own motivation and their own inspiration in life. And it starts by building productive daily habits that, over the long term, compounded over the long term, you build a person that you never thought you would be. And then suddenly you are. And it's an empowering, concept and thought, when you realize, like, look at the stuff that I've accomplished, where if I didn't seek to do these things, I wouldn't have. And I just get so fired up I just want to see people I want to see people not need anybody else but themselves, because I believe fully that they have it inside them to do anything they want. But most people, me included, and this started, like, over a decade ago, this has been like a journey. But you start getting win after win after win after win in life from just grinding and just focusing on, getting towards that goal. And then suddenly nothing is out of reach. And I think that is a powerful place to be. And, I thank the Lord that my journey, with this whole, you know, my family's life getting completely flipped upside down within 6 weeks with these vaccine mandates, and, two careers being thrown out in 6 weeks, and all of our income and all these things. Like, I, honestly, like, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but lesser men would have crumbled. But because I started this journey, so long ago, building, and it all comes back to, like, a physical transformation, and physical transformations build mental transformations. And when you're mentally strong, shit doesn't phase you. Yeah, it sucks and it makes you want to punch a hole in the wall, but you're able to compose yourself and take a deep breath and say, okay, this sucks. All right, what's the first step to get out of it? As opposed to, this sucks and crumble. No, but when you say that, what's the first step to get out of it? That's when you're on the path to getting anywhere you need to be. And that is pretty much what I've designed with this program, because I know the power that these items have in building the person, building the foundation of the mind, the foundation of the body of a person. It's called the Seek to Do More program. But that's the big thing that I've been working on, and I'm currently still working on. And it's going to be really awesome when it comes out. It's completely free. It's just designed to just do good for people, and that's all I really want to do. And I know the rest will work itself out. But ultimately, if we can all impact other people each day, what a great world this will be.
Oh yeah, Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Amen.
Yes, it starts with you. It doesn't start with other people. It starts with you. Um, what has hunting done to transform your life? What does hunting mean to you? And
Sure.
we're gonna just wrap it up right after this bad boy.
Sure. Well, for me, hunting it gives. I'm a goal seeker in general. That is the type of person I am. So every year there's a new goal to get out and do. And as I mentioned, here in the Adirondacks, dude, it is tough. I mean, you can't, you can never see more than 50 to 100 yards in front of you. You have to go find the deer. You have to track the deer. Oh, you bumped it, it's gone. There's so many elements that are just so damn difficult. And there you can't it's just its own world. But year after year, it's like when you're successful, it's another example of, I can do this. And this becomes not just hunting, it becomes anything. It's like, look, nobody made me get up at 4 o'clock for 13 days in a row to get out into the woods in the winter. No, nobody did. I got up because I knew I'm not going to get that deer on the couch. I have to get up. I have to get out there and go. And then suddenly it's like you've done these things. And for me personally, hunting just is another example of showing you, AKA me, the person, like, I can do what I seek to do. You just have to grind. And man, talk about an analogy of life that hunting is. I mean, you can screw things up really easily. You could screw things up out of just the wrong click. Gone. In your day's over. You can make a bad shot. Oh, well, did you put in the time practicing? No, you didn't put in enough time. Okay, well, you reap what you sow. You didn't do what you needed to do. Next year, don't let yourself miss that shot. Or next year, be more prepared with X, be more prepared with Y. It's just such an analogy for life, And sometimes you're successful. You walk out into the woods and you're 50 yards into the woods and boom, there it is. And you didn't do anything. And you know what? Sometimes that happens in life, and that's great. Enjoy those moments when they come. Most of the time, you're grinding away and it's difficult and it's difficult and it's difficult. But man, once you finally get there, you don't give a damn about how difficult it was because you've found it to the end. For me, hunting is just the absolute perfect analogy of life. And that's why I keep doing it. And, who doesn't love a freezer full of meat? Am I right?
Am I right? You
Can I
betcha.
get an amen from
A-
all you carnivores out there?
Amen. Right there. I love it, James. I freaking love it, brother. All right. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. James, where can people go follow you and check out your content?
Awesome. Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure being on your podcast. I appreciate it. Big fan of what you do, but you can check me out. I'm on Instagram at 46 of 46 podcast. And then my personal Instagram is at James Appleton 46, Appleton, James Appleton 46. And my website is 46of46.com.
Love it. And then absoluteaid.com also, if anyone's interested in hitting up the CBD world right there.
Yes, absoluteaid.com. Hit us up on Instagram at absoluteaid. If you want to try some products and you heard it on this podcast, shoot us a message and let us know, and we'll get you hooked up really nicely.
There we go. I love it. I love it. All right, listeners, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining us for this. This is always, man, podcasting is so fascinating. I hope that you pulled something from this and you're inspired, because inspired people inspire people. And I know, James, you're living an inspired life, brother. I am working on it every single day. Good luck this hunting season, whether you are in the western states and your month of September kicked off and that was what you were waiting for, or if you're on the East Coast or the South and you're waiting for those October, November, December months. Whatever it is, wherever you may be, may the wind be in your favor and the sun upon your face. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in this episode. I'm Johnny Mack. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating, as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group. as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.